all eyes are on the Justice Department this morning. Soon, a redacted version of the affidavit used in the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago could be released.
Well, yesterday, a federal judge ordered the Justice Department to unseal the document and gave them until noon today to do so. So CBS News' Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga is joining us now from West Palm Beach with the very latest. Not a bad place to wait for the outcome. Nicole, just bring us up to speed. What can we expect today?
Anne-Marie, not a bad place to wait, although it is sticky outside here today. Now, a redacted version of this key document behind the search of the former president's Mar-a-Lago home just miles from where I'm standing must come out today at noon. That is what a federal judge here in the Southern District of Florida said yesterday, just hours after lawyers for the Department of Justice proposed their redactions to this affidavit. Now, their redactions include things that would shield witnesses, federal prosecutors, even federal law enforcement connected to this case, as well as avoiding jeopardizing what is an investigation that lawyers for the Department of Justice say is still in its very, very early stages. Now, to remind our viewers, this is a probe into what is likely classified documents that were kept at the former president's Florida home. This affidavit could point to why federal agents believe that federal crimes may have been broken here. This is a response to dozens of media organizations, including CBS News, who argued that this document should be unsealed. Today, we're due to see at least a little bit of that key document.
Speak to us more, Nicole, about that little bit. What could the affidavit show us, even with redactions that we know will remove any sensitive information? What could we discover?
Yeah, Errol, it is a bit of a guessing game, but let me put it this way. Even if these documents come back and they are all blacked out, we will know how many pages this affidavit is, which is something that right now nobody knows, including the former president's team. Just the judge and lawyers for the Justice Department know that information. Now, that could counter some of the former president and his team's arguments that this was a hastily put together investigation. It could point to perhaps what the timeline is on this ongoing criminal investigation into these likely classified documents that were kept at the former president's Florida estate here. Now, a fully unsealed affidavit would likely have all of those key details about why the Department of Justice thinks that Mr. Trump mishandled national defense information and obstructed potentially a federal investigation. We are not sure if we will see enough of this document today to get all of those juicy details, because there are concerns by lawyers from the Justice Department regarding national security, the integrity of the future of this investigation. They're trying not to mess up the roadmap to come. At least that's what lawyers here arguing in court last week.
So, Nicole, we know that the Justice Department did not want this released at all, wanted it to remain unsealed. Donald Trump tweeted a few weeks ago that he did want it released. I'm sort of curious, though, what the Trump team, the lawyers and so on and so forth, how they're reacting to this.
Yeah, so this is interesting, Anne-Marie, because the Trump team has not seen the affidavit. And although, as you mentioned, the president put out on his own social media channel that he would like a completely unredacted affidavit to be unsealed, it's still a little unclear exactly what his camp's position is here. He has condemned the investigation overall. And lawyers, I was standing next to a lawyer for the former president in that courtroom, Christina Bobb, but she did not approach the bench, and none of the lawyers on that team filed a motion to make a case for sealing or unsealing this document. Now, what lawyers for the former president have done is they filed a civil lawsuit earlier to try to limit the Department of Justice's review of some of these documents that were, seized from the former president's home by federal law enforcement agents. We heard back from the judge in that case a couple of days ago, who countered to Team Trump with what exactly exactly do you want me to do? You know, she asked for clarity on what was seen as a largely political document, a political in nature lawsuit. She asked for, you know, clarification on the precise relief that is being sought by the former president, you know, why he feels that it should be argued here in the state of Florida versus back in Washington, D.C., and whether or not there is immediate relief being sought, if this is an immediate or emergency, you know, injunction that Team Trump is seeking. Now, all of those answers to those questions are due sometime today. So in addition to waiting on this partially redacted affidavit, we also await more clarity from Team Trump on exactly what the former president is looking for here.
I was just going to say, Nicole, all those really important questions that you've just teed up, we will hopefully get answers and guidance to here in the hours ahead. So stand by there at that base in there in West Palm Beach where reporters know so well. Maybe get some laps in as joggers come by. We'll be checking in with you throughout the day. Nicole, thank you so much.